George Bruno with the 21 Report. We're at the 21 Convention, the final event of the decade. And I'm having a conversation with Mr. Elliott Hulse. Welcome.
Thank you.
How'd it go on stage today?
It was amazing. It went really well.
I've been hearing about it. The aftershock reached all the way up here.
Great.
12 commandments.
Mm-hmm.
What were the highlights of those commandments?
Well, there are 12 commandments from my father, so these are all things that I grew up experiencing in my home and different bits of wisdom that he shared. And the reason why I thought it was important is because I think we're suffering from a lack of father energy in our culture. Either fathers aren't there, or if they're there, they're weak. I was blessed to have a strong father.
Yes.
And growing up in the betafied culture that we live in, I even resented him. I didn't understand the power of having a strong father until I was much older, in my late 20s, and having my own children. And a lot of the words that he spoke to me when I was younger started resonating much more. Some of the commandments were very basic, things like thou shalt lift. My father's 70 years old, and you met him, and
yes,
still fixes his roof.
Yeah.
He's still very energetic, very strong, sharpening his sword, and that's the first commandment. Thou shalt lift. You got to be strong. To be a strong man is inside and out. And one of the speakers this weekend has said so poetically and beautifully that if you're not strong, you're weak. And so that's the first of the 12 commandments. Some of the others are a little bit more comical, but highly applicable, like thou shalt fuck. And my dad's gonna be 7 years old, and he makes no bones about the fact that he likes boning my mom. And the reason why he does that and why it's so relevant to all men today is because his testosterone is high.
Yes.
He doesn't take any supplements or testosterone replacement. He eats really well, he sleeps, he gets sunshine, he doesn't stress out.
Yeah.
So,
He's alive, he's very vital.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. How did men receive your message today?
It seemed like it was well received.
Yeah, excellent. Now, you were part of the Patriarch Convention back in May. Have you seen a shift in the 21 Convention since then?
I'm really just getting a feel for what's going on here. I'm so blessed to be a part of the movement. I didn't know what the manosphere was 18 months ago.
Yeah.
And so everything that I'm learning and seeing and experiencing is brand new. And between the Patriarch event, which is what brought me into the whole sphere, and the 21 Convention here, all I can see and continue to see happening is men growing stronger.
Yeah.
Either be it through being strong fathers in the Patriarch event, which it's my conviction that if we're going to turn this boat around, it's going to begin with fathers. Men in particular, men, but fathers in particular. And then this 21 Convention weekend really broadened it, and it's really about personal development for men, inside out, for all men. And it's been amazing to hear the other speakers.
Yeah. You have a very important voice. Now, you've established yourself, you have a massive following apart from this organization, and it seems like the missions just work well together. You just slid right in here.
Yeah.
And it's as if you've been with this organization for 10 years. You didn't have to warm anyone up to your message. Your message already resonates here.
Yeah, it feels like a perfect fit.
Yeah.
When I came across what you guys are doing, I knew I wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah. Making men strong again. That's assuming, now that phrase, making men strong again, sounds like for a while men got weak.
Oh yeah.
What happened to men?
Well, it depends on who you ask. I like to point the finger at the breakdown of the family.
Yeah.
And there are either no fathers in the home or weak fathers in the home. And a part of that, I think, comes from feminism. This push to emasculate men and masculinize women. And it's been happening for 60, 70 years. And we've gotten to the point now where the tables have been so turned that we're living in a backwards day where you see the homes now have the children at the top of the order leading the family, because the mother panders to the children, which is normal and natural because they come from her and she's emotionally attached to them. But the father is on the bottom, and he's being led by the woman and the children. And that's a recipe for lack of love and integrity in the family. Women don't like weak men. The children are suffering because they have no direction, they have no boundaries, they have no discipline in their home. And as a result, the children grow up to be fatherless, meaning the father maybe wasn't there because the government gives handouts to people for not having fathers. There's bonuses and prizes for kicking the dad out, even with the divorce laws, and it's advantageous. It's if you want power as a woman, the best thing to do is, well, get the seed from a man and then take him to the court and get his money. And it's created a situation when men are timid, they're weak, and because there's no fathers, there's no ideal. I was able to give these 12 commandments for my father because my father is an ideal alpha male leader in my home. I didn't know it, I didn't understand it because I grew up in the feminized world. But I can now lean back and realize that because I had a strong father, I can be a strong father for my children. And what I represent in the world today is a strong father figure. I couldn't have done that had I not had a strong father. So it's my conviction that by making men strong again, we're going to turn this whole thing around.
You do a grounding camp. Tell us about that.
Well, grounding camp's intention has been to reinvigorate the age-old practice of initiation for men. And of course, it's not the same as it was for our ancestors, where every rite of passage or initiation process, regardless of the culture, cross-culturally, there are two elements. The first element is a movement away from the world of the mother, the material world, sensuality, gratification, comfort, mommy, and a movement or an atonement with the father. And what comes with that is challenge, austerity, a sense of purpose, all very masculine traits. Grounding camp is designed to take men out of the world for a little while. We have to set ourselves apart. There's no more safe space for men any longer because women are in all of our circles.
Yes.
And if you try to exclude women, they call you names and you're a bad guy. Well, I'm willing to be that bad guy by creating a safe space for men to be men, to talk about things that are important for men, challenge one another, challenge ourselves, and restore a sense of dignity and meaning in our lives so that we can go back out and be those strong leaders that we need to be.
Give me an example of a case study of a guy that attended your grounding camp who was questionable, who was weak, who didn't have a good upbringing. Tell me about his success story. Is there someone that you can think of that really is a great example of a man that benefited from your services, from your teaching, from your camp?
Well, I've got a lot of examples, but one that stands out is a young man named Jake, who's been coming to grounding camp for the past few years, and he is also a...
So it's not a one-time event. It's something people keep coming to.
I keep bringing him back because he's become such a great asset to the movement by being an example of what we want and what we expect from the men that leave grounding camp. And he has transformed inside out, but most telling is how he runs his business now and how he is with his wife or girlfriend. He's a Strength Camp ambassador, so Strength Camp is also my other business.
Yeah.
My true ministry has been through the barbell, through lifting. And so through grounding camp, we also create an opportunity for men who want to help other men become strong men and that want a career path to then proceed into our Strength Camp Ambassador program. So he's received and utilized all the internal strength that's associated with the rites of passage and the austerity and the exercises and the fellowship of grounding camp. But what I'm really hoping for and what a man like Jake resembles is the transmutation of that into a actual service to the world. A lot of men that are attracted to my programs are into fitness. They like to lift, they're into sports, A lot of them want to be personal trainers, so we've created an opportunity for them to also learn the business skills, the marketing skills, and also to benefit from the brand of Strength Camp by creating the ambassador program that Jake is he's doing really well up in BC, Canada. The great thing about Strength Camp and what he's been able to do is that as long as you have the internal resolve and strength that comes from the things that we talk about at Grounding Camp, we just give you the step-by-step that you can go out there and start your own gym. And he's done that. He's doing really well.
Wow. What did he look like when you first met him? Describe him.
Oh, man. That's funny. Well, Jake came to Strength Camp, and he was skinny and he had a lot of zits. I remember seeing him for the first time and thinking, whoa, he's like an awkward teenager.
Yeah.
And it was normal and natural. That's the type of men that usually end up coming to Strength Camp because they want to grow stronger for their sport or whatnot. The difference with Jake was that it wasn't just good enough for him to grow stronger as a man, which, I mean, he's huge now. He's probably stronger than me. But also he wanted to bring the gift of strength to other men. And he really took that role.
The gift of strength.
Yeah.
Tell me about the gift of strength.
Thou shalt lift is number one. But it's really about becoming the strongest version of yourself. So outer strength reflects an inner strength. And so the gift of strength makes a man carry himself with more dignity, with more power in his stride, more
So it's
upright.
not just about muscle.
I found that the men that come to Strength Camp from the very beginning would transform physically, but then walk and carry and speak and be different men. I didn't expect that. I wasn't looking for that. But when I began to see it, I realized that there's an alchemy. There's a transmutation that's going on from the outside in. And of course, I was grateful and happy enough to be there for these young men, not just for lifting, but they would ask me questions afterwards.
Yeah.
You know, we'd have a kick-ass lifting sessions and then, hey, coach, what do you think about my girlfriend, what's happening here? Or what do you think about my parents and what's happening here? And by and by, their bodies would grow, but their souls were evolving.
So you are a coach and a mentor.
Yes.
Wow. And it's interesting, you said he might be stronger than you now. So one of your own students surpassed you. Wow.
That's what I want.
Wow.
Yeah.
Making men strong again.
Right. I mean, that's my job, is to make sure you're better than me. You met my father, and this is another one of my father's commandments.
Yes.
And he would say to me and to my siblings, look, you got to be better than me. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time.
Yeah.
If I leave this world as a father and you're worse than I was, then I failed.
Yeah.
I feel the same way, of course, about my 4 children. But with the men that I mentor, it's not about getting them up to a level that's good enough.
Yeah.
It's about, look, I'm going to die. I'm going to get old. I can't do this forever.
Right.
You got to be better than me.
So you have one biological son, but it sounds like you really have a lot of sons.
Yeah. Like I say, I'm a father figure to millions of men worldwide.
You are. Isn't it amazing that you're a father figure to people that you've never met?
It is. We live in an amazing time. And I'm happy that I can stand in that role. It took me a long time to recognize and accept that role. It was difficult for me. I had to go through some of my own. I had to change some things and evolve on the inside myself to be able to truly stand in those shoes. And I have to be completely honest that the manosphere and the red pill, those things were like the final nail in the coffin for me. It was like the final piece that I was missing to be a complete mentor and father figure to these men, because I can give them all kinds of great advice on lifting, personal development. I mean, I'm into all these things that make you a stronger man, but my experience with women was very different than theirs.
Yeah.
I have a traditional conservative background with my relationship. My wife and I met and we started dating when we were teenagers. I married the woman and I've been with her, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I couldn't really talk to them in terms of how to pick up and how to be with women. But when I began reading books on the intersexual dynamics, and then I came across all of you guys, all
Yeah.
the things that you're doing, I realized there's an entire world out there that's trying to make men strong again, but from the inside out, where I was doing it from the outside in. So now it's all come together, and it's a beautiful thing.
I have found that I have a fairly significant female following, to my surprise. Do you find that there are women that are following you and looking at your advice and they're growing from it?
It's evolved over the years. Well, let me first say that forever it's been mostly men.
Yeah.
Even when I wasn't trying. It's just I'd look at my clientele and I was like, well, it's all guys here.
Yeah.
When I started making YouTube videos, of course, there are women that are into fitness too. They want to lift. And that's great. I want my daughters to lift.
Yes.
I want them to be strong. So a lot of the women that first started following me, it was because, well, they want to be stronger. I'm a good-looking guy. I'm sure that's why they wanted to watch.
Yeah, right. Of course. Of course.
But now, as I've been red-pilled, and I'm taking this stance of making men strong again.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about intersexual dynamics, and I'm making my conviction known about relationships and marriage and promiscuity. There has been a divide, but a very powerful divide in the women that follow me. Of course, there are those that hate me now. They feel like they've been bait and switched. Like,
Yeah.
Elliott, you were such a nice guy, but now you're saying these things and we hate
Yeah.
you. But what's really interesting is that there's a new crop of women that are either just making themselves known to me, they've
Yes.
always been there,
Yeah.
or starting to follow because they see the type of relationship I have with my wife. And they're wanting to know, how can I have that too? I want a strong man, I want to have children, I want a family that stays together. And a lot of the women that are now following me, it's because they're hungry for information and inspiration on how to really go back to
Yeah.
what women were like 60 years ago.
Yeah. They don't want a counterfeit man. They want the real thing.
Yeah. And so my wife gets emails all the time. She gets tons of emails from women. She has a whole lot of followers on her Instagram because they want to get into her head
Yeah.
and find out how she's being as a woman. The gentlemen that were in here before that were recording me, they got a really good piece with Colleen and I in the kitchen, and she's talking to them about being married to me. And I can't wait for women to see it because my wife is not an oppressed woman.
Wow. Yeah.
Her life is great,
Yeah.
but it's traditional. She's a wife, she's a home, she takes care of the home,
Yeah.
and she's a mother. She's not a career woman, she's not fighting injustices,
Yeah.
she's not trying to climb the ladder, she doesn't compete with me or other men.
Right.
She's a good woman.
Yeah. That sounds great. That sounds great. What is the future for Elliott Hulse? Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I really feel like this is the beginning of something brand new. Like I'm just getting started.
I feel the same way about you too. I just feel like you ain't seen nothing yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the past 4 years I've kind of been in an abyss, in a dark place. Wasn't sure what I was being called to. I discovered that I needed to grow a lot on my own, on the inside. I was led to a lot of the information and ideas that I needed. I'm transformed. I'm a different man than I was when Yo Elliott was popular on YouTube. I feel firmer in my convictions. And in that, I'm more courageous to speak up because I know I'm right. The old Elliott would bite his tongue a lot more, even though I always spoke up, but bite his tongue a lot more because I didn't want to make any enemies.
Yeah.
New Elliott realizes that there are going to be enemies, and that's great.
What you do is a business and a ministry, so to speak, isn't it?
Yeah, I like to use that term.
That's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, ministering to the bodies and souls of men. You know, giving them that inspiration and information and the example. I hope not to just be a man of words. I hope that my posture, the way I carry myself, and the way I live my life, is an avatar, is an example for them to follow.
Yeah.
So integrity is top of the order for me.
Yeah. What advice would you give a man who describes himself as being stuck in life? How would he get unstuck?
Action. you got to do something. And I always say, begin with your body. If you're stuck in your career, you're stuck with women, you're stuck in your mind, you're depressed, begin exercising. Get some fresh air. The problem is that it's too simple. The things that I'm saying are going to go right over people's heads because it can't just be that.
Yeah.
But it is. Your body is your mind. What you are speaks so loud that we can't hear a word you're saying.
Yes.
So what are you being? What are you doing? And I'm convinced you got to be physically strong. You must lift.
Mm-hmm.
But then with that also comes, you've got to eat right. You got to breathe fresh air. You got to get sunshine. You got to keep that testosterone level up.
Yes.
That's why commandment number 6 is thou shalt fuck.
Yeah.
It's a result of being lifting, reading. One of them is the third commandment is thou shalt stop, which is really about meditating, objectifying your emotions.
Right.
Optimizing testosterone. These are all things that testosterone is manpower. It's man juice. You put gas in your car so it goes.
Yeah.
For a man to go, he's got to have testosterone.
Yeah. Wow. You're a trainer, a philosopher, a doctor, a psychiatrist, a motivational speaker. You wear a lot of hats. What other hats do you wear that I didn't mention?
Well, I'm a husband. And it's a loaded term today. But if you look at the word husbandry and what it actually means, it's a creator.
Yes. And
so, in our world where everything's backwards and denigrated, you say husband and it almost sounds weak. There's an association with it that says ball and chain, bogged down. You see the image of the husband bowing his head and following behind his wife. Mm-hmm. They say game over. That's not true. That's not what's intended. That's not what the word means. To be a husband is to be a king. Mm-hmm. And to be a king is to be a creator. Mm-hmm. Be fruitful, have children, own a home, grow a garden, procreate, be generative.
Yeah. That's powerful. That's very powerful. Mm-hmm. What do I even say to that? Be a king, be a creator. A conversation with Mr. Elliott Hulse. Thank you, Elliott. What was your experience so far with the 21 convention?
Oh, outstanding, outstanding.
Professional, all across the board. Really good energy with a lot of people, and I just like it because it's a very positive direction.
This, George, this has been a first-class event. It's fantastic. You guys are in a really tight ship. I've been to a lot of conventions over the course of my business career, and I can tell when things are well-run and when things aren't, and this is a very well-run operation. I was very impressed.
It's pretty incredible to see where Anthony's brought it, especially from last year, which was my first year here, and to see the upgrades he's made, it's been incredible.
I've got my notebook, and with every speaker, I've written down about 2 or 3 lines under each of the speakers of just the key prime stuff. That's good. That's good.
It's very surreal, man. I'm really enjoying it. I'm happy to live in such an era where such a thing like this is possible.
I have never seen a group of guys like this, a group of 200 men who are focused, squared away, they're working on their values. Just never met a bigger group of wonderful guys.
It's kind of neat because I've been to a fair amount of conventions in my day, but you never see one where the guys like here you can just see Ed Lattimore talking to Tanner about boxing.
Yeah.
You just sit down and then you tell your boxing experiences. Everybody's kind of pinging off each other. It's nice.
It has been fantastic. And it's been 4 days of guys all on the same page, working in the same direction.
Fascinating meeting some of the people, hearing their stories. You got people traveling from other parts of the world to come here just to see some of the speakers. That's amazing.
The thing that's impressed me is everybody here is very serious.
Yeah.
They're taking it close to their heart.
What a great convention.
Thanks, George.